Today we're going to be covering character creation and everything you need to build a mutant. It's the core of the game. It's really, really good for players to be able to look at this video, but also for GMs, it gives you a real good idea of what you're actually playing with. And there's all this implicit kind of world building within the character creation process, which is cool. So your starting point is you pick a role, you pick a name, you define your appearance, you get help with all of these things within your roles, give you help with these kind of things. You put 14 points among your attributes, you put 10 points among your skills, you choose a talent to do with your role. You draw a mutation. Mutations in this game, you don't get to pick them. They are random because that's exactly what a mutation would be. You define relationships, big dreams, gear, and then we'll talk about the arc and your den and that kind of stuff as well. So we'll start off by jumping straight into the roles. There are, when you get a role, there's kind of a structure to each of them. They give you help with the ideas of appearances. They give you a breakdown of what the role is. In this case, it's a boss, and a boss has a crew in the arc, and you can even take them out of the arc. Which is really, really cool. It gives you typical names if you're stuck with names. It tells you what your key attribute is, and that is because you have a specialist skill in this game. Every role has a specialist skill. In this particular case, it's commander. That helps you make better use of your crew, and that is tied to your wits attribute. It gives you ideas for appearance. You have 3 talents for every role. There are also a bunch of other talents that you get to pick when you get experience, but you start with one of these. For this one in particular, it's Commander, which gives you a +2 when you're commanding your gang to fight for you. There's Gunslinger. That means your crew has a reasonably unlimited amount of bullets and guns within the arc, so they can use them when they need, but you can't use them as a currency, and you need to supply guns and ammunition when they're leaving the arc. And Racketeer, if you want to just be a general gangster, you get a +2 modification. And if you're imagining you have this big arc which you're going to be working on, there's so much politics and kind of like cool stuff you could get up to with it in any of these roles. In fact, you pick your relationships to other PCs. These are really important because one of the ways or the way of getting experience in this game is answering questions, and one of them is how have you worked or have you risked to do with your PC that's your friend. Have you relations to other NPCs? You have an NPC within the place that you want to protect. You have one there that you want to kind of is your enemy. Again, if you work towards them things, you get more experience. You have a big dream as well, and if you work towards your big dream, you get experience, and those experience can be used to increase skills and get more talents and that kind of stuff. It's a brilliant system. Really embeds you in the fiction of the world. And you can change these relationships at any point you want as the story develops, which is brilliant. So that's the boss. We have a fixer. Fixer's like your wheeler dealer. They have a skill called Make a Deal, and making a deal basically lets you kind of get more grub or scrap or water. So again, there's none of these that aren't really, really useful. And you can get, depending on how you succeed and how you do it, you get more or less stuff, which is really cool. You have your talents here, a wheeler dealer, where you when you use make a deal skill to make a small business on the side, you earn twice as much. Vicious creep, when you manipulate someone, you give them doubt. So again, in the game, you don't just damage strength, you can also damage your other skills. So it gives you can really start to develop characters that are really, really useful at other things. And juicy info, that gives you really good info on one of the key players in the game, which again you can use to leverage. You've got a stalker. Stalker's probably the most essential class in the game. The reason for that is they have a skill called Find the Path. Now, a key part of the game is going out in the zone, and this Find a Path makes going out in the zone day and night difference. So if you've got a crew that are going to be going out in the zone, which you will do, you're probably going to really want a stalker in your gang at some point. So what happens then is when you roll this, you get different benefits, and for every extra success you get, you can pick kind of like what they would call a stunt, which is you can find more artifacts in the zone, which is cool. You can access, you can figure out more about rot. You can find bullets, find food, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just a case of you succeed and you know stuff. There's benefits in pushing rolls to actually get more information out of it. You also have your talents here are Scavenger, +2 mod when you're with Find the Path. when you're looking for artifacts. Monster Hunter, +2 mod when you scout of any kind, and Rot Finder. So again, this is you can choose whenever you roll an extra the most rot-free route, and avoiding rot is a key part of this game, especially as you're going through. Also, I didn't mention, all of the rolls give you a starting gear thing. You've got a grunt. On surface level, this looks like a terrible class, but it's probably the one that I'd like to play. Grunts are people who basically have just worked and learned how to shake off, not abuse, but shake off, physical abuse, mental abuse to the bodies from the work, from the role, from the environment. They're just tough as hell, and they have a skill called Shake It Off. And if you do, you can use this almost at any time, and you can shake off damage if you roll and you succeed on it, which is amazing. Your talents are Cynic, +2 mod when you use Shake It Off if you're suffering from doubt. Rebel, you shake it off, you get +1 mod on your next action. So like you can see these. I don't think there's much need for me to break them all down in massive detail, but give you a bit of an overview of them. And Resilient, you get a +2 mod to shake it off when you're suffering damage. So it depends on what kind of damage, but these are just tough little buggers that can, and that is hugely useful. You've got a Dog Handler. They have a special skill called Sick a Dog. The dog, if your dog dies, you can get more dogs because there's loads of dogs around the arc, but you've trained them so you can have them as a bloodhound, which will find things for you. You can have them fighting for you, or you can have them as a companion, as a way to help you recover damage to yourself, which again is kind of cool. Gearheads are awesome. They have a jury rig skill, and what gearheads let you do is, or their special talents is, you can be better at inventing, which gives you mods on that. You can be better at tinkering, which is fixing things, or at cars, because there's a huge section in here on kind of like Mad Maxism cars type things, which is really cool. You have a Chronicler. A Chronicler is Inspire. So they're kind of like, they are the people who keep the histories and the notebooks, and they can be good at Bonesaw, which is kind of like medical type stuff. Agitator, getting people going. Performers. It's almost like a bard-esque class, I suppose, in some ways, and your skill is Inspire, and you can use your skills to really help people with roles, which is really, really great. And you have an Enforcer. Enforcer is what you think it is. It is your big bruiser. You have a skill called Intimidate, and Intimidate means you can use your strength to kind of like push people around, both mentally and physically. You've got things like Barge Through, which you can use your strength for move, which again would be super useful, because you imagine this character is going to load up in strength. You've got Intimidate. When you give a victim doubt, they suffer an extra point of doubt, so you can break people and bend them to your will just by intimidating them. And Sucker Punch, your unarmed strikes do 2 damage instead of 1. But again, there's loads and loads of other skills within this game that you can pick as you go along, or talents, I should say, that you can pick as you go along. So that is the classes. What we're going to be doing with our Bob here is we're going to be creating the one that I said was most important, which is a Stalker. So I'm going to put a role as a Stalker here, and I'm going to grab a name. I'd normally just grab an image for that, but we're going to be lazy. We're going to be Franton. So Bob is now Franton. Okay, I'm going to take the skill, Find a Path. I'm going to drag it across, and now we have Find the Path skill in here. And I'm going to start with Scavenger or Rot Finder. I'm going to start with Scavenger. Okay, cool. So I'm going to grab Scavenger and drag it across, and now that is the starting point of my character being built. I'm not going to do the relationships on here because you guys it's easy enough to understand the principles and that kind of thing. So I don't want to make this video longer than it will be, because it's already going to be long. Cool. So we've picked our role. Age is normally really important in Mutant Year Zero or in Year Zero engines, because your age defines how many points you get to spread. Normally, the older you are, the less points you have for attributes, but the more you have for skills, because as you get older, you get weaker, but you also have got more history behind you. But in this game, everybody is the same age. So it doesn't make much difference. Name we've done. Attributes. You get to spend 15 points on attributes. Okay. So I'm a Scavenger here. My key skill here, when we look at it, is Find the Path is down to agility. So I'm going to probably spend 4 points there. Let me put it here. 4 points. Wits. I want to be kind of smart, so I'm probably going to put 4 points there, 3 points here, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think that's the right amount, and I'll put them. So my character in this one isn't going to be the toughest person ever, but that shouldn't be 4, 3. Make sure I've done the maths right here. 6, 10, 14. No, I've got an extra point, don't I? 15 points. So I'm going to stick an extra 1 in strength just so I don't die super easy. Oh, what am I doing? So I'm going to put 4 in strength. So that's 12, 15. And you know what? I might... Actually, I'm going to put 3 in strength. I'm going to put 4 there, and I'm going to put 5 in agility. Now, I think you can normally only go up to 4, but you can go up to 5 if it is your class's key skill, and that's what agility is for me. So there we go, 5. So yeah, 3 there. Cool. So that is my attributes done. Skills. With skills, we get to, if I jump up here, it's 14 points. So I've done one too many on that. So it's 10 points across your skills. So let me adjust this here. 14 points. That's 15. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go down to 4 again. 4. Okay. 10 points against skills. I'm going to put 2 in Find the Path. I want to be... So this is maybe a good point to go through skills. If we jump here, skills. Okay, so the skills we have: endure. Endure is kind of like pushing yourself with strength. So you're dealing with physical stuff that's happening to you. You'd actually be using it quite a lot. Force is not fight, it's using your strength to kind of make things move. You've got fight, which makes sense. Sneak makes sense to most people. Move is a skill that you roll in order to get out of trouble with. Again, there's nothing here that isn't really important. Shoot, you know what that is. Scout is when you're in the zone, you're looking to stay alive. You use a skill to kind of like find out what's around you and find out better ways of doing stuff. Now that sometimes gets superseded by the Find a Path task for a stalker, but again, so that sometimes happens with your specialist skills. Comprehend is about understanding what's going on. So there's loads and loads of artifacts within this world that we know nothing about. Actually understanding the technology of previous generations is something that's important, and that's what you use Comprehend for. Know the zone. Know the zone is you use that to kind of understand things that's going on in the zone. It's very different to Find a Path. So know the zone would be if there's creatures there, finding out more about them. And if you get extra successes, you get to ask questions like, can it hurt me? How can I hurt it? So if you're up against something, understanding how you can hurt it is pretty important. You've got sense of motion. This is helps you with is the way that you kind of fight someone trying to manipulate you, but it also helps you understand people's intent. So again, if you succeed, and you have extra stunts, you can do things like, is he telling the truth? Does he want to hurt me? Does he want something from me? You don't necessarily actually know what, but you get a feel for somebody with that one. Know the zone. We've done that, and sense of motion. Manipulate. You use that to get people to do what you want them to do. Heal makes sense. And we've covered these kind of unique skills as well already. So yeah, that will do for that. So for 10 points in skills, I want 2 in Find the Path, and I want to be able to shoot, so I'm going to stick 2 in shoot, and it'll be fairly agility based. I want to know the zone, so I'm going to put 2 in zone. This person is made to survive in the zone. So 2, 6, 7. I want to be able to heal. I'm not worried about manipulate too much. What else we got? Fight. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to put 1 in 10 endure as well. So that is my skills. So to give you an idea, if I was rolling for a to know the zone, to find out something about it, I'd click that. It's going to roll me 4 base dice, 2 skill dice, it will roll them. I'm looking for a success. In this case, I failed. So so I'm probably going to push that roll, and it's going to re-roll everything, and I failed again, and I got a 1 when I pushed my roll. So you can see what's happened there. I automatically ended up doing 1 point of damage to my wits, but at the same time, I would have also got an extra mutation point. So when you push, you get more mutation points. So yeah, cool. So that is my talents. Next is mutations. You don't get to pick your mutation. Mutations are cool. So if I can get a list of mutations. Well, here's a list of mutations here. Acid Spit, Corpse Eater, Mind Terror. There's just cool stuff there, and you never know what your character is going to turn out like. I tend to find out that when you roll them, they tend to be the way it tends to work more is you get characters that are just, it always tends to fit a little bit. So I'm just going to hit roll and let it pull out a mutation. What you'll tend to do, Man Beast. Wow. Okay, you're half man, half savage beast. Attack 1 or more enemies at arm length with your fangs. Let rip a bestial roar. 1 enemy can spend, or you spend an MP mutant point, and somebody suffers doubt. You never give up. When you're broken by damage or fear, you can get up again. So essentially, this is a tough little bugger. That works really well. So I'm going to stick that across here, and that is my mutation picked. Relationships and dreams, we're going to skip over that because we've kind of covered that already. Your gear, what we can do is if we go to Stalker here, there's the gear you start with. I'm just going to go here and drag across my scrap rifle. You can see how handy this is. And a bow, weapons, choose 1 from the following. Okay. I'll get rid of that in a minute. So yeah, so you choose 1 from the following, buy extra gear, and then you'd roll your bullets, your grub, and your water, and just stick them in here. So that is, what else have we got? Your gear, your den. You pick a den that's within the actual confines of the arc. We haven't done an arc, so I'm not going to cover that, but it's where you spend your time to recuperate, and again, you get to develop a little piece of the arc to be cool and unique for yourself. Develop the arc. I'm going to cover the arc entirely in another video because it's going to take a little video to go through it. But again, you're going to spend time trying to grow the arc and build it into the type of thing that you want it to be. And that is essentially your character created. So we've created a character there. Now I'm going to cover a couple of other things here quickly. If we go through talents. So we've covered skills. There are your starting general talents here. I want to go through them so you have an idea of the kind of stuff that you can get. You have things like archaeologist. So I'm not going to do everyone individually, but you get +2 when you're trying to comprehend a ruined building or other installation from the past. So by picking these talents, you're actually changing who your character kind of is and how they see stuff. You're combat veteran. You're cool under fire and can act effectively when your enemy hesitates. You get to roll 2 dice for initiative, and like there's just cool little things that you get to do within here. I'll try and get some stuff that's more interesting. Butcher. When you've killed a monster in the zone, you can extract the number of rations of grubs that carcass equal to the original strength score. So normally you're not going to get that much out of it, but you get to get more food, which means that your party can spend more time in the zone without having to go back, which is a really good thing. There's another one here, Zone Cook. You've mastered the art of cooking contaminated food in the zone well enough to purify the rot. So basically, you can see how all of these, like you're limited by encumbrance in this game, so being able to carry twice as many objects makes you super useful. There's none of these that you don't really want, so you're always looking to push, and that's a nice idea with the way that the XP works, is that you are able to just spend these points to get more talents or increase your skills as you go. So your character does steadily get more skills, steadily get more talents, but also with the nature of how the game works within the zone, you start to actually potentially get weaker as well on your core attributes by using your mutations, which is cool. The next thing I want to cover here is probably the mutations. I think I may as well cover that in here as well. So I've given you an idea of some of the mutations. So If we get something like, I don't know, insect wings. No, let's pick something, frog legs. Okay. Your powerful frog-like muscles, you can jump 30 feet horizontally or 15 feet. This costs one mutation point. Leap on an enemy at short range, fight them. So you get an idea of what the mutations is, but how you use them is the interesting part. So when you activate a mutation, you have to spend a mutation point. You start every session, you get given as many mutation points as you have mutations. You can end up with a game with more than one mutation. You also gain mutation points from pushing your rolls and doing damage to your attributes. So as you go on, you can actually carry your mutation points over from each session to another one, but you can have a maximum of 10. So you'll end up with plenty of mutation points. Whenever you roll, it goes exactly according to plan. Your mutation will work every time you spend a mutation point. But there's potential of misfire. Okay, so for every mutation point you roll a d6. And on a 1, there's going to be a misfire. So it's still going to do what you wanted it to do. But on a 1, something is going to go a little bit off because mutations and the zone are not predictable. So once you do your mutation, it's gonna work. You then roll on the mutations table. So let me see if the table is here. Oh, the link isn't there. Right, let me grab the table. Okay, so you roll a d6. If it's a 1, you have to roll then on this table. It is, they can be rough. The lower it is, the worse it is. So if, for example, you roll a 1, your mutation power runs amok. And you suffer 1 point of permanent trauma. So that means one of your stats is going to go down permanently, which is super negative, terrible, but it's the nature of this idea that you're in this zone and it is a game of attrition. Your players need to embrace the idea that it's about the mark you make before this world swallows you up. You get to choose which attribute, which is good, but you also then generate another mutation, which again is cool. So you're getting more mutation points, more abilities for this to do, but you will get a little bit more broken as you go along, which is like, I really love the idea of it. Number 2, you suffer the effect of the mutation and you take as much trauma as your target. So it hits them, does everything you want, but it also kind of fires back on you. 2, the mutation covers uses twice as many mutation points. 3, it locks down, you can't use it for the rest of the session. It changes your appearance in some ways. So these, as you get higher numbers, it gets less, but you have to, your character then, something happens to them and you have to pick that up and carry it with you. It's not a mechanical thing, it's a physical thing, but it's cool. And the last one is, if you roll a 6, which again is good, you get back the mutation points you spend and you can immediately use the mutation and activate it against somebody else. So it is this idea that mutation points or mutations aren't superpowers. They're not there to be used the entire time. You will be kind of like picking and choosing when you want. But again, if I'm playing this game, I'd be playing it far and hard, hard and fast, and really trying to get the most out of my mutant before they actually, succumbed. And I'm guessing you could retire your mutant and take on somebody else if you wanted to, and they could have a role in the zone as well. So that is, I think that's just about everything covered. Let me just jump back in here quickly. So we've covered skills, we've covered what the skills do, we've covered talents, and we haven't covered every talent individually because that would be way too long. We've covered mutations, relationships, dreams, gears, dens. Yeah, that is literally everything you need to create a mutant and get a proper idea of the kind of characters you could be playing in this game. The next video, I am probably going to do combat, not the arc, and then the one after that, more than likely the arc. So I think the next one I'm going to do is conflict and trauma, which is basically fairly important for the game. And then we'll cover maybe the arc and zone travel. We'll see how we go. All right. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.